3 miraculous truths revealed about your divine purpose. Prophetic insights for supernatural living. The chapel stood solid against the storm, its stones gripped by years of prayer and hope. Inside, the air was thick with anticipation as Sarah clutched her rosary. The flickering candles cast shadows dancing on the walls, whispering secrets of faith as the congregation gathered. She had been praying fervently for her son, Jonathan, whose laughter now seemed like a distant echo in the corners of her heart. This night felt different, charged with divine electricity. As Pastor Thomas led the prayer, his voice resonated with warmth, stirring a fire within her soul. "Let us seek the miraculous," he declared, and she felt it, an almost tangible sensation of God's presence. Suddenly, amidst the passionate prayers, Sarah felt a rush of warmth envelop her. The world around her blurred, and she was bathed in a light that seemed to come from another realm. Your purpose is entwined with the miraculous, and through your suffering, healing will emerge. A voice reverberated within her, both gentle and commanding. Hope ignited like wildfire, but as the words faded, doubt seeped in. How could one woman's prayers lead to miracles? Weighted whispers filled her ears from the village. Didn't faith falter when confronted with despair? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a determined heart, Sarah called upon the village for a prayer vigil, hoping to lift Jonathan's plight beyond her own despair. Yet uncertainty hung heavy. As the weeks passed, Jonathan's condition worsened despite their gathering cries for divine intervention. Gloom spread through village streets. Even Pastor Thomas's uplifting words began to feel like echoes lost in the wind. In desperation, Sarah sought out her beloved St. Jude, known for aiding the hopeless. A whisper of a prayer escaping her lips, "Lord, grant me a sign." As the storm raged outside, something shifted. The winds quieted, forming an eerie peace within the chapel, as if the heavens themselves paused. In that stillness, a warmth washed over her, and for a moment, Sarah felt unshakable faith. Then came the miracle. Jonathan's condition unexpectedly stabilized. The doctors were baffled. Whispers of divine intervention spread, igniting conversations about faith and miracles among the villagers. Yet even as hope rekindled, a fire of doubt smoldered in Sarah's heart, questions swirling like the returning storm clouds. Was this really God's work, or merely the unpredictability of life? As news of Jonathan's recovery echoed against the chapel walls, the air thickened with anticipation and wonder. But within Sarah's spirit, tension brewed. A battle between hope and fear ignited by a haunting question. What must I endure next to fulfill my purpose? Just as the villagers began to voice their own newfound beliefs, an ominous message arrived from a distant relative, cloaked in mystery, hinting at deeper family secrets yet to be uncovered. The divine tapestry was unraveling, leaving Sarah in the throes of an unexplainable struggle for clarity and direction. The story hung in the balance, a breath away from revealing the mysteries that lay ahead. As the days unfolded, a restless energy filled the chapel, blending with whispers of hope and dread. The villagers, emboldened by Jonathan's recovery, began to gather regularly, seeking connection and revival. Sarah found herself amidst their fervor, yet her soul was caught in a tug-of-war, a relentless questioning of her path. What lay ahead for her and her family? What did God truly desire from her? The candles flickered like the heartbeat of their community, casting shadows of vibrant faith on the worn stones. In prayer, Sarah closed her eyes, longing to grasp the deeper meaning behind the mysterious message from her relative. Allah, the wise elder, had urged Sarah to consider the past, to seek out family secrets that could light the way forward. Every story has a chapter that prepares us for what is ahead, she had said, her voice an anchor in the storm. Look within, dear child. and you shall find guidance." A surge of determination flared within Sarah. Maybe the answer lay not in her son's miraculous recovery, but in her own legacy tied intricately to generations before her. She envisioned her ancestors, holding fast to their own prayers, their own trials sliding into miracles through God's grace. The altar, adorned with flowers still vibrant from Sunday's service, felt like a portal to those who had come before, their energies mixing with her own in the sacred space. Taking a deep breath, Sarah gathered her courage for a visit to Aunt Margaret, her late mother's sister and elusive keeper of family history. The storm had quieted, leaving a crispness in the air as she navigated the familiar path to her childhood home. Each step echoed her desire to uncover truths she had yet to confront. Would Margaret reveal a mystery meant to guide her on this stirring journey? The door creaked open, revealing Aunt Margaret, a spark of mischief and wisdom sparkling in her eyes. "I knew you'd come," she said, offering Sarah an inviting smile that lit up the dim room. The table was set with tea and scones, a comfortable embrace of warmth washing over the tension that had clung to Sarah's heart. "Thank you for seeing me," Sarah said, settling into the chair, her heart racing in anticipation. As conversation flowed, Margaret recounted family tales, a rich tapestry woven with struggles, losses, and remarkable victories. But it was the story of a great uncle, lost during troubled times, that struck Sarah with immense clarity. He had been a fervent believer, often declaring, "Every hardship is but a stepping stone to divine purpose." It felt as though that very statement rippled through time, whispering directly to Sarah in that moment. The words planted a seed, igniting a longing to understand how her family's legacy intertwined with her current trials. Each whispered prayer, she realized, became a part of their collective faith journey, echoing through the fabric of her life. Divine purpose isn't just ours alone. It's shared, she murmured to herself, feeling strength surge through her veins. However, just as enlightenment began to settle in her spirit, she noticed Aunt Margaret's expression shift, her brow furrowed, gaze distant as if she were peering through layers of memory. "But there are things you still do not know, my dear." Sarah leaned in, breathless with curiosity. "What is it? What could possibly be hidden?" Margaret's next words hovered in the air, thick with anticipation and trepidation. "You must be prepared for a truth that could alter everything you believe about your purpose." A new wave of questions surged within Sarah, her heart racing. What could this secret reveal? Was she ready to uncover the intricacies of her family and faith that might change the course of her journey? The hour grew late, and the tension was palpable, leaving the air thick with the promise of the unforeseen. As the shadows stretched long across the room, Sarah felt a call, one that transcended time and space. What revelation awaited her, waiting to unlock the doors of her destiny? The thread of her faith, intertwined with unexpected truths, was about to lead her down an uncharted path. Aunt Margaret's gaze was like a window into another time, and Sarah held her breath, waiting for the unfolding of this profound truth. "You see, Sarah," Margaret began slowly, as if measuring each word for weight, "our family hasn't just faced trials. We've carried a legacy that holds significant meaning. Our great-uncle's disappearance was not just an end. It was a beginning, a warning, and a gift." Sarah's mind raced to comprehend what this could mean. "A gift? What do you mean?" she urged, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. "The stories I share are layers of our faith, and interconnected in ways you'd never expect," Margaret continued, stirring her tea absent-mindedly. "Your great-uncle was said to have unearthed a secret, a hidden faith that could challenge the very foundation of what we believe. He was set on a journey much like yours, to discover his true purpose." The room felt charged, like a preload of light before a storm. "A hidden faith?" Sarah echoed, the pieces clicking together yet still obscured. "What kind of faith?" Margaret's fingers danced over an old, tattered book she had on the table. "This," she said, sliding it to Sarah. "It's kept within our line, written by your great-uncle himself. It holds revelations that speak of miracles and mysteries we've long forgotten, and the reason behind our trials. Your purpose, dear Sarah, isn't just about you. It's about connecting to those who walked this path before you, Cautiously, Sarah unlatched the book, the spine creaking softly as she flipped through the pages, filled with notes, sketches, and prayers. The ink was faded but legible, every word steeped in an energy that resonated with her spirit. She could feel her heart swell with each passing story, as if the spirits of her ancestors wrapped her in a loving embrace. Though we must face our own storms, there lies beauty in uncovering the truths that connect us all, Margaret advised, her gaze unwavering. Every trial you endure shapes a path not just for you, but for others who will follow. This book may hold the key to understanding what it all means. An overwhelming sensation surged through Sarah. Both dread and excitement washed over her, and she whispered, "But what if the truth is more than I can handle? What if it exposes fears I'm not prepared to confront?" Margaret leaned closer, a knowing smile on her lips. "The most profound truths often come wrapped in fear, my dear. God doesn't present us with burdens beyond our strength. He creates bridges to a greater purpose. You are capable just like your ancestors before you. It may be daunting, but there's divine grace waiting to guide you." Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she clutched the book tighter, a sense of divine urgency awakening in her spirit. "I can't ignore this," she said, steeling her resolve. "I need to understand. What lies ahead? What was the journey my ancestors took? What am I called to uncover?" Margaret's smile widened, a deep indeed fathom of pride reflected in her eyes. "Trust, my dear, and prepare your heart. Further revelations await you. But first, delve into these pages. Reflect and pray. The story doesn't end here. It evolves." With newfound determination, Sarah began to leaf through the first few pages. Each line of her great-uncle's writing seemed to pulse with life and energy, drawing her deeper into a world she had yet to comprehend. As night crept in, and the first stars glimmered through the window, Sarah felt the profound weight of what was at stake. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on her face, mirroring the uncertainty and hope that now resided in her heart. What was waiting for her in the depths of those pages? Could the discovery of her family's faith reshape her understanding of her journey, her dreams, and her purpose in this life? Amid the echo of each page turned, Sarah sensed she stood on the brink of a revelation that would challenge everything she once knew. Eagerly, Sarah's fingers brushed against the worn pages, the texture of the paper grounding her in a reality that felt both ancient and urgent. She paused at an illustration of a vast tree, its roots sprawling deep within the earth, yet its branches reaching for the heavens. Above it, a handwritten note read, "As trees bear witness to storms and seasons, so do we bear witness to trials that refine us." With each line, it was as if her great-uncle spoke to her from beyond time, urging her to reflect on the hidden meanings in her own life. Sarah could almost hear his voice guiding her through the darkness of doubt. She realized now that his journey mirrored her own, the quest to unearth deeper truths. The air thickened with anticipation, and she could almost sense the presence of generations gathered around her, echoing their silent wisdom. Every word seemed imbued with spirit, each account a lifeline to her future. She could hardly breathe. Her heart raced like a drum echoing a promise. "Sarah, my dear," Margaret's voice broke through her reverie, soft and melodic. "What do you see? What stirs within you as you read?" Taking a deep breath, Sarah replied, "It's like he knew I was coming. These stories, they're powerful. They speak of faith and trials, moments when everything seemed lost, yet they found grace. That's the essence of our family's legacy," Margaret exclaimed, her eyes shining like stars reflecting a sacred light. "We are called to learn and grow through our struggles. Your great-uncle's writings reveal that our trials aren't for nothing. They shape the blueprint of our faith." With growing intensity, Sarah read on. The pages unfolded tales of her ancestors who had faced storms of their own loss, despair, and an unwavering pursuit of hope that transcended their hardships. Amidst the trials, miraculous moments sprang forth, reminding her that hope isn't blind. It's a fierce beacon born from deep within. A particular passage captured her attention. "In darkness, we bloom. In pain, we find purpose. This is the faith that brings forth miracles." Each sentence resonated with her spirit, and as she absorbed their meanings, waves of profound peace washed over her. Yet, beneath the relief lay a tinge of fear, a reminder that unveiling truths might also lead to discomfort. Was she truly ready to confront her doubts, her insecurities? The question loomed large like a shadow just beyond reach. Remember, fear can be a cloak for divine revelation, Margaret whispered, sensing Sarah's struggle. The Lord gives us courage to face what we fear most. In that journey lies your true purpose. Taking solace in her aunt's words, Sarah closed the book momentarily, soaking in the familiar comforts of home, the fragrant tea, the warmth of the candlelight, even the musky scent of the old furniture. This was sacred ground. I one tea run from what lies ahead, Aunt Margaret, she declared with newfound strength, a spark igniting in her chest. I will seek this hidden faith. Just then, an odd breeze whispered through the room, carrying with it a sense of urgency that both startled and enthralled her. It sent shivers down her spine, awakening a deeper knowing within her. What was that? She murmured, her eyes wide as they danced across the shadows. Just a reminder, Margaret replied, her expression serious, that the spirit moves in ways we often will not expect. Are you prepared to embrace the unknown, Sarah? She nodded, determination firming her resolve, feeling her heart echo an ancient promise. Was she truly prepared for the revelations to come? What divine encounters awaited her in her pursuit of the hidden faith? Sarah steeled herself for the mysteries that lay within the pages yet to be turned, for she was certain her journey had only just begun. As Sarah sat there, a warmth enveloped her. It was as if the very air pulsed with a divine presence, stirring the dormant seeds of faith within her. She could almost picture her ancestors, those who had walked before her, witnessing her resolve, glowing with hope for the path she was about to take. I feel like something is about to shift, she whispered, hardly believing her own words. The winds carried a palpable anticipation, wrapping her in a cocoon of possibility. Margaret watched her intently, a knowing smile gracing her lips. Every great journey begins with a restless heart. This is the call to adventure, my dear. You are not merely reading these words. You are being prepared. God has a purpose for you. Sarah felt the weight of those words sink deep into her core. Was she truly being called? Imagining the countless lives of her ancestors, she saw the divine tapestry woven through the trials they endured, illustrating the unseen hand of God guiding them. There had been loss, yes, but also unimaginable grace. With renewed purpose, she reopened the book, feeling the worn pages beneath her fingers like an anchor connecting her to all those who had come before. As she turned the pages, a particular story drew her in, a tale of faith that challenged the very fabric of doubt. In this narrative, a young woman faced insurmountable odds. She had lost everything: her home, her loved ones, her very hope. But in the depths of her despair, she didn't succumb. Instead, she clung tighter to her faith. Miraculously, she found strength in her vulnerability, and in her darkest hour, she became a vessel for divine intervention. Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes as she read those words. In our weakness, God's power is made perfect, she murmured, feeling the truth wrap around her heart. Could it be that her own frailties could lead to something greater? Sarah, Margaret interjected softly, every obstacle you face is a stepping stone to your greater purpose. Do not shy away from the unknown. Embrace it. It's through your trials that you will uncover His miraculous plan. The room brightened, as if a hidden light source flickered to life. Sarah felt compelled to look toward the window, where the twilight hue swallowed the landscape. Shadowy figures danced in her imagination, each representing a trial she faced. The echoes of her fears whispered louder, challenging her resolve. What if it's too much? What if I fail? But then a powerful surge pushed back. Where He leads, I must follow, she declared, surprising even herself. No more retreating, no more second-guessing. Emerging from that moment of affirmation, she noticed something glimmering just beyond the pages. The words bore a shimmering quality, urging her to dig deeper. Look closely, Margaret urged, her voice now almost a whisper, reverent with expectation. As Sarah leaned in, the letters seemed to pulse uniquely, almost vibrantly alive. She felt as though they were reaching out, inviting her to explore their depths, promising secrets not yet understood. What is this? Her heart raced anew. It's a divine invitation, Margaret said gently. The mysteries of faith are often veiled, revealed only to those who seek with open hearts. Sarah's mind raced, grasping at the possibilities. Was she approaching a revelation? What were the truths God wished her to understand? As she continued to absorb the words and the presence of the moment, a bold thought sparked in her mind. Each trial, each hardship, every doubt would become part of her testimony, a testimony that could flourish and inspire. But as she sat in rapture, the winds outside howled, as if echoing her own internal storm. Can I truly trust this? She whispered to herself, the doubt creeping back in. Margaret reached over, squeezing her hand. Remember, in these moments of uncertainty, God's faithfulness shines brightest. Will you trust him? With her heart pounding, Sarah closed her eyes, praying for clarity, asking to feel God's presence more profoundly. What awaited her on this journey to uncover the truth? Would she truly embrace the unknown? Only the next turning of the page would tell. Sarah opened her eyes, the flickering candlelight casting playful shadows across the walls. She felt Margaret's warm hand still gently clasping hers, grounding her even as her spirit soared. The air thickened around them, brewing with a sense of sacred anticipation. She leaned back, breathless with expectation. What comes next? She asked, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Margaret smiled knowingly. Patience, dear Sarah. Just as seeds must be buried before they bloom, so must your journey be embraced in faith. Let your heart open like flowers to the sun. With that, Sarah turned her gaze back to the book. There was an energy now, a deeper understanding ready to be unfolded. As her fingers brushed over the pages, she felt them almost vibrate beneath her touch. It was as if they were alive with stories waiting to breathe life into her own. God's purpose often reveals itself through the ordinary, Margaret reminded her softly. Stay attuned to his whispers. Tentatively, Sarah turned another page. The words flowed like a gentle stream, speaking of hope against despair, joy amidst sorrow. She found herself immersed in the stories of those who had been called to rise above their circumstances. Each tale rich with hardship transformed into joy. And then, she stumbled upon a beautiful passage about a man who had walked a long, arduous road, laden with stones of disappointment and regret. Yet his heart never faltered. In his yearning for guidance, he found solace in prayer, and each time he knelt, he felt a ripple of peace wash over him. That's it, she gasped, her heart racing. Prayer. Yes, Margaret exclaimed, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. In every moment of doubt, there is an open line to him. Through prayer you can share your heart, your desires, your fears. Can be a refuge. Sarah closed her eyes again, envisioning herself enveloped in the arms of God, pouring out her worries as the pages whispered affirmations. Help me trust, Lord, she breathed. A sense of warmth flooded within, igniting an ember of faith that soared. She remembered her ancestors now not just as witnesses to her journey, but as participants in a celestial chorus that encouraged her to move forward. Each trial she might face had been preordained, a stepping stone leading her closer to her true purpose. The stories in the book melded with her own story, creating a divine narrative where her struggles morphed into testimonies. As the swirling winds outside fell silent, a calm resolved in the room. Outside, nature ushered in a tranquil night. The stars twinkled brightly, seeming to echo Margaret's words. Trust, Sarah, Margaret murmured, her voice a soft hymn in the night. God's hand is at work. Yes, I will trust, Sarah whispered, her heart steadying. But then doubt speared her resolve once more. But what if I falter along the way? What if I let him down? Margaret interjected. Remember this. It is in our inadequacies that his majesty shines. You will not journey alone. Lean into him and you will know strength beyond measure. Encouraged, Sarah felt a growing excitement. What clarity might come next? With a firm resolve, She gazed back at the shimmering words before her. Just then, a soft glow enveloped the pages again, illuminating a passage that caught her eye. Sometimes, the most miraculous truths about our purpose come not from the answers we seek, but in the moments of surrender. Her breath caught in her throat. It summoned a deeper questioning in her heart. What was she being asked to surrender? What layers of control did she need to let go? The night thickened around them, and the air filled with an almost electric anticipation. As she pondered these thoughts, a new prayer danced on her lips, a prayer of surrender, of asking for guidance into the unknown. What divine mysteries awaited Sarah on her journey? And what would she have to let go of to embrace the life unfolding before her? The answers beckoned like a light in the distance, guiding her closer. Sarah's heart raced as she contemplated surrender. What did it truly mean to release control? She peered into the flickering candlelight, the flames twisting and twirling, mirroring the turmoil within her. Each flicker seemed to whisper secrets, urging her forward into the depths of faith. Margaret's hand remained steady on hers, a lifeline anchoring her to the present moment. In surrendering, we make space for His grace to fill our lives, she said softly, as if sensing the battle within Sarah. With a trembling voice, Sarah asked, "But how do I know He will catch me?" Margaret leaned in closer. "It's not in the knowing but in the trusting. His love surrounds us, waiting patiently for us to take that leap. Think of it as a child learning to ride a bike. It's the fall that teaches her balance, not the fear of the ground." Sarah nodded slowly, letting the metaphor settle deep within her heart. She gazed once more at the book, its pages wide open as if inviting her into the story. "Somewhere in here, your truth awaits," Margaret encouraged, gently nudging the book forward. Taking a deep breath, Sarah hesitated for only a moment before plunging her hand into the unknown, her eyes brimming with tears of hope. As she turned the next page, a serene stillness filled the room, wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. The words danced before her, unraveling a tale of a woman who had given everything, her dreams, her desires, only to realize that in her surrender, she had gained the world. Each sacrifice, each letting go, drew her closer to the heart of God, revealing a life overflowing with grace. Every act of surrender is an act of faith, Margaret reflected, a smile forming on her lips. It's like a puzzle, where each piece you let go brings you closer to the picture He has designed. Sarah felt the knot of anxiety inside her loosen. The more she absorbed the story, the more she understood that her challenges were not roadblocks, but rather sacred opportunities for divine alignment. In the woman's journey, she could see echoes of her struggle, a mirrored reflection dancing in the light of truth. "What if I fear what I'll have to give up?" Sarah's voice trembled. "Fear is our shadow," Margaret said, her tone firm yet forgiving. "But remember, shadows disappear in the light. When you step into trust, fear becomes irrelevant. It's what He takes from us that allows Him to give us even greater gifts." A realization washed over Sarah, an immense wave of peace settling deep within her soul. Each moment of struggle had purpose, a divine orchestration she had yet to fully embrace. With renewed determination, she let her heart open wider, inviting clarity to wash over her. "Okay, Lord," she murmured, "show me what to let go, show me how to live a life fully surrendered to You." As she whispered the prayer, a soft glow emitted from the book once again, illuminating a verse that stood out like a beacon. "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you." The truth resonated, igniting a flame of faith that sent warmth cascading through her entire being. She felt the weight of the world lift, replaced with an assurance that perhaps, just perhaps, there was a grand purpose waiting just around the corner. In that sacred space, as the candle flickered low, Sarah became aware of the softness in the air, the promise of something profound approaching. What would happen if she surrendered fully? What treasures and truths lay beyond the veil of understanding? She could almost hear the echoes of divine whispers calling her deeper, with anticipation coiling tightly around her heart. Sarah leaned in closer to the warmth of the glow ahead. As Sarah leaned closer, the glow pulsed gently, illuminating not just the page, but the very essence of her spirit. It was as if the words were breathing life into her doubts, wrapping them in a warmth that soothed her heart. There was an unshakable stillness, as if the universe itself paused, holding its breath in expectation. Margaret watched her, the light dancing in her eyes. "What do you see?" She probed gently, curious about the revelation unfolding before Sarah. The candlelight flickered, drawing her gaze to the text. It's an invitation," Sarah breathed, feeling the tingling sensation of promise settling over her. This woman, she had to confront her greatest fear. But in her surrender, she found purpose. Her pain was transformed into something beautiful. "That's it," Margaret exclaimed, her voice dripping with excitement. "Your journey can mimic hers, can be a series of beautiful transformations." Sarah chewed on that thought. The weight of her fears seemed a bit lighter. Could it really be that her struggles were just stepping stones? With each challenge, perhaps she was being shaped and molded, prepared for a larger purpose. As she continued to read, a powerful truth struck her. Surrender was not the end, but the beginning. "What if my journey leads to something extraordinary?" she whispered, her heart pounding with newfound exhilaration. "What if everything I thought was a loss was really just paving the way for something greater?" Margaret smiled knowingly, every word a confirmation of Sarah's burgeoning faith. "You're discovering the essence of divine purpose," she said. "It's never about what you give up. It's always about what you gain." The warmth in Sarah's chest grew, spreading outward like the light that enveloped her. She closed her eyes, letting the tranquility wash over her. Suddenly, her thoughts began to clear, the chaos of confusion transforming into clarity. As she opened her eyes again, she felt a surge of recognition. "It's like when we doubt our prayers," she continued, her voice firm. "What if our disappointments are really protection from something not meant for us? What if God is steering us, always leading us toward His will?" "I love that," Margaret said, her eyes shining with encouragement. "It's a concept we often overlook. God knows our hearts better than we do. He sees not just where we are, but where we're headed." "Seek first the kingdom," Sarah repeated, the phrase echoing in her mind. "Maybe that's the key. If I focus on Him, everything else will fall into place." The book seemed to shimmer in agreement, the words alive with possibility. Embracing her new understanding, Sarah felt the world around her transform into a vibrant mosaic of divine potential. For the first time in ages, she didn't feel lost. Instead, her spirit soared, filled with wonder about what lay ahead. But just as the excitement began to settle, a shadow glided across her heart, bringing a moment of hesitation. "What if I fail?" she breathed, a whisper loaded with the weight of uncertainty. "Ah, but failure is just a detour," Margaret interrupted gently. "It leads to growth, to lessons and experiences. In every stumble, there's a divine purpose hidden, waiting for you to uncover it." Sarah nodded slowly, her mind swirling with new reflections. What did it mean to truly fail? Was the concept even real in the light of God's love? This question hung in the air, heavy with potential. In the quiet of the room, Sarah felt a profound yearning. God was inviting her deeper. The next layer of her faith journey beckoned, waiting to unfurl with revelation and truth. What if surrender led her not just to safety, but to adventure? What treasures could be waiting if she dared to trust? With each tick of the clock, the promise of divine exploration loomed closer, and Sarah realized the journey was just beginning. As the stillness enveloped them, Sarah felt that familiar tingling at the back of her neck. It was the unmistakable reminder of the divine calling, an echo that beckoned from the depths of her soul. She could sense a gentle nudge, inviting her to dig deeper still, to discover the truth hidden just beneath the surface of her daily life. "What do I do now?" she asked aloud, more to herself than to Margaret. The words were laced with excitement and trepidation. She sensed she was at a crossroads, not just in her mind, but in her spirit. Margaret leaned closer, a knowing smile lighting up her face. "Perhaps it's time to reflect," she suggested. "What are your dreams? What are the whispers of your heart?" Sarah's mind raced, racing back to moments of innocent hope, dreams she tucked away, believing they were too silly or unattainable. She remembered the joy of painting, of sharing joy with others, of jumping into the unknown. Those dreams, they seem so far away now, she murmured, uncertainty creeping back in. Maybe they've just been waiting for the right time to bloom, Margaret countered, her voice soft but filled with conviction. Like seeds in the soil, they need nurturing, light, and faith. Sarah absorbed those words, letting them swirl around her like petals on the wind. Perhaps, she replied, her heart warming with possibility. The God who crafted the universe was also stirring within her desires an exquisite alignment of purpose and passion. Engaging these ideas, the vibrant glow from the book pulsed in rhythm with her awakening spirit. Each word seemed to dance like a flame, igniting her faith. She pictured herself nurturing her dreams, watering them with prayer, bathing them in light and love. Seek first the kingdom, she said again, recalling the phrase that echoed through her heart. What did that truly mean in her moment of surrender? What would it look like to place her desires under the divine wisdom and embrace the unknown? Suddenly, the doors of her heart swung wide open to the possibilities. I'll seek, she whispered, determination seeping in. I'll pursue the things that make me come alive. I'll trust his guidance, even when it feels scary. With a deep breath, she felt the weight of the world lessen, almost evaporating like morning mist. But doubts began to nag at her once more. The what-ifs began to sprout. What if I don't know how? What if I take a step only to stumble? Then stumble you shall, and it's okay, Margaret replied warmly. Every stumble is part of the journey. Embrace each one. There lies beauty in the brokenness that leads us to healing. The idea took root in Sarah's heart, and she let out a shaky laugh, a sound of newfound freedom. Yes, she could embrace the process, embrace the grace that would carry her forward. The realities of her existence transformed from shackles into wings. As the candle flickered, the there surrounding fell into a sacred hush. Sarah sensed a movement, something brewing in the spirit realm. What awaited her along this newly embraced path? With hopeful longing, she searched the horizon of her journey, the adventure yet to unfold. Margaret's presence lingered, reassuring yet gentle. There's more to uncover, sweet friend. God holds mysteries that are even more extraordinary than we can imagine. Could it really be true? Sarah's heart pounded with an intoxicating mixture of peace and anticipation. The moment stretched, filled with divine potential and whispers of love. What revelations would grace her as she stepped forward in faith? A new chapter awaited her heart, beating like a drum in unison with the call to destiny. As dawn broke over the chapel, a gentle light poured through the stained glass, casting radiant colors across the worn stone floor. Sarah felt the warmth of that light settle over her like a divine blanket. There was no turning back now. She had made up her mind. Today was the day of her revelation. She sat with Aunt Margaret at the table once more, the air thick with the sweet aroma of freshly brewed tea. Their shared silence buzzed with anticipation. Sarah's heart fluttered as she contemplated the journey ahead. I'm ready, she declared, her voice steady and full of conviction. I'm ready to embrace whatever God has for me. Margaret's knowing smile met her with love. That's the spirit, my dear. Now let us delve deep. Unlock those treasures awaiting discovery. With awakened purpose, Sarah picked up the ancient book, its pages warm under her fingertips. She began to read fervently, absorbing each sentence, letting the words transform into prayers that rose like incense into the air. Each story resonated deep within her, a tapestry woven with echoes of hope, despair, triumph, and faith. Look, Sarah exclaimed suddenly, pointing to a passage that caught her eye. This is about a woman who lost her way, just like I have. But when she surrendered her fears, she found a purpose far beyond her dreams. Margaret nodded, her eyes gleaming. Every struggle leads us to our greatest strength. My dear, you are woven into that fabric. Your story matters. Tears glistened in Sarah's eyes as she read on, the weight of each revelation lifting burdens she had carried too long. Here, it says that in our mess, God crafts miracles. She felt the words ripple through her heart like a fountain of living water, erasing doubt, healing scars. The kitchen filled with the sound of a distant song, the joyful laughter of children playing outside. Sarah smiled, gratitude pouring from her heart like sunlight. Each note of life resonated with her newfound realization. Miracles were indeed born from surrender. Sarah, what would you say is the greatest fear holding you back from stepping into your purpose? Margaret asked, her voice tender yet probing, coaxing Sarah to the brink of deeper reflection. With a shaky breath, Sarah admitted, "It's my fear of failing, of disappointing God and my family. I've spent so long doubting myself, thinking I'm not worthy of His love." "Ah," Margaret replied gently, "but what if that fear is a thin veil, hiding your true identity? It's in the unraveling of our fears that we find our strength." Her heart raced with recognition. "So I must let go, right?" She pondered aloud. "Let go of the need for certainty and embrace the unknown path." "Yes." Like a flower shedding its closed bud to bloom, Margaret encouraged, warmth spilling over her words. "You are meant to bloom in your moments of surrender." Sarah's heart swelled as a wave of release washed over her. "Then I surrender," she declared, resolute. "I surrender to trust. I give up the weight of fear and seek only His will." As she closed her eyes, a wave of light rushed into her being. It felt as if the chapel itself echoed her sentiments, reverberating the truth in the air. The candles flickered brightly, illuminating her spirit anew. The sacred stillness enveloped them, as if heaven paused to listen in awe. And in that silence, Sarah felt a remarkable clarity descend. She recognized her family's legacy filled with untold stories of resilience, faith, and courage. "I am not alone in this," she realized, her heart igniting with gratitude. "My ancestors stood before me, whispering their strength, guiding my path." Her voice rang with affirmation. "I am part of something greater. I will not fear." She opened her eyes to see Margaret nodding, tears of joy glistening on her cheeks. "Yes, this is the spirit of divine purpose emerging. You see it now, dear child. Embrace it. Share your story." The words swirled around her like a melody. Fuels for her journey, a new vision took form in her mind. Sarah envisioned her path stretching out before her, rich with possibilities and divine encounters. Suddenly, an urgency ignited within her to act. She envisioned gathering the villagers, sharing her journey, lifting hearts, and igniting their faith. "I want to tell them about hope, about surrender, about how miracles can be born even in chaos." The resolve strengthened in her heart. She felt compelled. "I'll lead a community gathering tonight. We can pray together, share our testimonies, and reignite our collective faith." With a large, heartfelt smile, Margaret took Sarah's hands into her own. "That's the spirit. Each story shared is a thread in the fabric of faith. You are the light in this moment. Your journey will inspire others to unveil their own truths." As the sun rose higher, illuminating the chapel in gentle hues, Sarah felt the warmth embrace her like divine arms. Today marked the beginning of her renewed journey, a journey intertwined with legacy, awakening to purpose, and filled with a radiant future. In the shadow of the chapel, as she stepped outside into the world, she embraced the light. With a heart ablaze and love guiding her steps, Sarah was ready to let her own story shine forth, to testify through her struggles and joys. She whispered a prayer. "Thank you, Lord, for the divine purpose that unfolds within me. I am ready to guide others home." And as the winds shifted, carrying her words into the sky, she knew this was merely the beginning of her miraculous journey. Now, dear friends, your journey awaits. You need to subscribe now to witness more exclusive faith stories like this one. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. We truly want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see these divine manifestations. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions. Let's ignite our faith together.